Hey everyone, it's your host Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. You know who it is. We are here today. I have a very special lady that I found for you guys, and I am looking forward to this conversation. Miss Makeda Bomb. She is a homesteading tech executive teaching families on how to build land-based and digital wealth for lasting financial freedom. Her resume is extensive. Tech sales leader, homesteading mom, founder of Seed and Society. She helps families across the United States and the world and help families and solopreneurs build real wealth through land, digital income systems, and support long-term freedom for the foreseeable future. So I truly appreciate this guest and what she's doing and what she is going to do for the foreseeable future to help us, help you, me, we get to a better place in our legacy journey. So, without further ado, I can't hold this incredible dynamic woman back any longer and keep her backstage. We have to welcome her and bring her out in true gentleman style podcast fashion. So help me welcome family, Miss Makeda Bomb.
Thank you for having me on. I'm Makeda.
Oh my God.
It's okay. Makeda Bomb. It's understandable. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here.
Really excited to have you. Love the glasses. Love the glasses.
Thank
Those
you.
frames are super special and they speak to your character and the uniqueness of what you're doing. Miss Baum, I wanna start off with a softball. I want to start here. When did you endeavor onto this journey? Tech sales, uh, building wealth, building legacy. When did that kick off for you? When did you realize, hey, I gotta do something different? I have to do something different for my family, for my future. When did that happen for you, and what happened? Can you share?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you asked this because I actually posted something similar to this question the other day, which is for me, clarity came from having my as soon as I had my first child, as soon as I knew I was having her, right? Like, when you're the woman, it's 9 months before the rest of the world gets to meet them. So that for me was my like huge catalyst.
And what did can you describe for the young mom out there? Can you describe the feelings that you were feeling, the emotions? I'll tell you what stood out for what I heard someone share when their child was born, because that's a common bounce back, right? That's a common igniter that kind of lights off a lot of entrepreneurs like yourself, successful entrepreneurs like yourself. Is they're like, oh my God, my son is born, and I don't have it together. Oh my God, I don't have this, I don't have that. I need to set this in place. I haven't even thought about college. Oh my God. Can you describe the emotions that you were feeling um when that happened for you?
Yeah, I mean, I had my daughter when I was 27, like about to turn 28. So I do think it was in a space where I've experienced a lot of life at that point. Like I had my undergrad degree, I'd talk about that often. I got my GED at 16. So I'd experienced a lot of life. And I was a person who just always kind of knew once I had a child, or if I was going to have a child, I always thought it'd be like in my late 30s
Mm.
when I did it, but that it would change things for me. So I think just taking that trajectory from being a teacher to trying to figure things out, and then I had my daughter during COVID. So, well, right before. So, right when the lockdowns happened, she was born New Year's Eve 2019. And then, you know, 3 years later, or 3 months later, in that case, everything shut down. So, I think that really um, helped define what my motherhood looks like, as well as this journey to then into tech sales and everything that's come since.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to speak to family. Family dynamics, family relationships. What was your upbringing like? How were you raised, and how has that shaped you into the woman, the mother, the entrepreneur that you are today? Any mom and dad come from money? mom come from wealth? What can you speak to that?
No. So
Look.
that's being very clear. So I actually wasn't raised by my mom or my dad. I was raised by my paternal grandfather. And he came to this country from Jamaica with two suitcases in like the 80s, and all of my aunts then were able to go to college, and I had that example coming up. However, it was not a very easy life in a lot of ways, and like I said earlier, I got my GED at 16. I've essentially been on my own since 16, but I was able to figure out things like doing AmeriCorps as an alternative senior year, which is like the Peace Corps in America, and then going to college on time. So I worked 3 jobs through college. So yeah, just to say I definitely grew up with a big understanding of work ethic. My grandfather was like the first one to be up, the last one to go to sleep. So that was very much my norm, and just understanding that you have opportunity. I've traveled quite a bit, so really just understanding the unique situations that we have here, and America really being the land of opportunity.
Absolutely. You've achieved so much, and did I hear you correctly? You attained so much at 16?
No,
16 years old.
I got my GED at 16.
Wow.
And then I did alternate then I went to college, and now I have my MBA. I've been a teacher, I'm in tech sales, I'm a founder, keynote speaker, soon to be more out there author. I did write a book under a pen name, but I'm writing my actual book in relation to my framework, the connector method. So yeah, doing crazy things.
Wow. Busy. Busy, busy, busy. Busy. Your
Yes,
calendar is stacked. Right? How do you
that's accurate.
how do you balance it all? Mom, wife, entrepreneur, philanthropist. How do you author several books? How do you balance it all?
Podcast.
Podcaster, podcast interviews, public speaker. How do you balance it all in a world that is suffering from anxiety and just not doing well with managing their day to day?
Yeah, I love that you asked this question, Marcus, because this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm getting super clear about, and letting people know who I serve from a seed in society perspective, which is we serve ambitious moms who are looking to increase their confidence, their capacity, and their cash flow. And the big thing for me that really has accelerated all of this is AI. And I talk about that quite extensively because it can give you back hours in your day. It is how I am able to do a lot that I'm able to do. And I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. And it really changed the game for me this year. And in, I think it's incredible technology. I think, like any technology, you can use it for awful things and you can use it for great things. But when it comes to wanting more capacity, and you're never going to get more time in your day, right?
Ab-
We all get the same
Absolutely.
24 hours, but you can get more out of that day without it taking from you and your like actual energy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A- And so that is huge. That is necessary. That's significant. Incorporating artificial intelligence in how we can use it as the tool. Women can use it as the tool to not only structure their day, but advocate for us and give us insight into spaces that were not maybe even foreign to us, maybe even foreign to the. Why do you think that you mentioned a door? Why do you think that door, that obstacle, was there in the first place for women? What do you think held most women back from doing what they've been put on this earth to do?
Well, I mean, I won't pretend to say that women aren't a monolith, right? Just like men aren't, just like any group. There's differentiation, and everyone and every woman has a different purpose that only she knows. But what I will say about increasing capacity from an AI perspective is a lot of times women are suffering from like decision fatigue, especially mothers. And there's also like scientific studies about how your neurons change to grow to, give birth to this child. But we also are doing a whole bunch of labor on different decisions throughout the day, scheduling dentist appointment. What are you going to eat for snack? I'm someone who's super fortunate. I have a very hands on husband who I would argue is the default parent. And even then, I still have a lot of decisions I need to make for the family on top of working. So that's where I think having AI and incorporating that in your day, even from stuff like meal planning. I talk about that, or having it help you make emails, or if you do want to create a podcast, making your show notes, having your copy. Like we have so much access to information in like the easiest to access way. My big thing is that it just all comes down to implementation. Are you actually acting on that information you're getting so that you can change your life?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love this. Your resume is extensive. I want to touch on tech. You are in an industry that is predominantly male. Technology, STEM. Um, you have you c- I How do you overcome the obstacles of being a black woman in STEM and then being the top sales leader in STEM and being the top tech guru? Can I say guru
I wouldn't
in
say guru. No.
being a top
Yeah.
professional and excelling in a industry that typically is not used to you? How did you overcome that?
I love this question. I don't think I've gotten it before. And a big thing I always go back to is my undergrad degree. And I talk about it often because, I got a lot of crap for being a sociology and African American studies major. It was like liberal arts. What are you going to do with that? Be happy being unemployed, like all the things people say. And for me, it was like I literally got a degree in me. I was able to take classes about why people think the way they think, why society is set up in a certain way, and that everything truly is a construct. And I often say this, that perception creates reality and collective consciousness. If enough people agree on something, then it becomes true. And it and once you understand that, for me to be in tech sales, so I'm an enterprise account executive, I sell to government entities, state government, higher education institutions throughout my career, Fortune 500 companies when I was in scientific sales. But all of that comes down to understanding people and actually connecting with them and being able to take complex ideas or whatever it is I'm doing here, like the tech is the tech, but how are you actually applying this to make someone's life better? And when you can understand that, you can do any field, I think.
I gotta bring up the doomsday. This is so good. I needed this. No, I needed to talk to you. How do you feel? It's I think I know how you feel, but I can't speak for you. But some naysayers don't feel confident about the integration of artificial intelligence and where we're trying to head to. Nvidia, Google, Meta, where they're trying to head to, which is super intelligence. Whoever gets there first can be an incredible world. I think we're heading to the George Jetsons of the world, and the I forget his wife, George Jetson and Janet Okay, I almost said Janet Jackson, but we're heading to an incredible place. And when we get to super intelligence, I think that can be an incredible place, but I think it can be a scary place. What are your thoughts on AI today? Do you think we're on the right path, or do you think we're missing the mark in this industry, and we need to backtrack and backstep a little bit?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. Well, first, some people will argue that we have reached super intelligence and that the bar just keeps going up. That
Right.
by a certain standard, it was like once computers can do this, that'll be super intelligence. But once I think the perfect euphemism for it is that you don't know what you don't know. And once you get some of that information, the thoughts and possibilities expand beyond what you necessarily thought was capable. So that's what I think is happening with AI. I absolutely, I've watched the movies. Science fiction is my favorite. So I'm not coming from a perspective of, I just think everything is, going to be utopia, because utopia literally means place that doesn't exist. But I digress.
Mm,
I do think that there needs to be governance. And I think that's true of any technology or um, anything that can have a large impact on a large population of people or the
that's right.
entire world.
That's right.
The issue I think holds to that is, what are the motivations of the people doing the governance? And if those aren't in alignment, then a lot of the laws or the rules can just be arbitrary,
Absolutely.
especially with what we see is happening just within the current landscape of the world. So, my take for that, when someone says that, is right now you have access to this amazing technology in a way that I do not think will be as accessible for as affordable as it is now in the future. I think that we're just starting to truly understand it, but some people are farther ahead. And if you're not using it in a way to augment your capacity so that you're able to accomplish all these things that you want to do, or at least make the income that you're trying to make, and you're not using AI every day, you're missing a huge opportunity to grow your fortunes now, so that maybe when it is Jetsons time, your offspring and your lineage is good, and they're in the skyscraper or wherever it is you need to be safe. And that's what I think is the big thing about adopting this technology, and how to frame it so that we're not worried about something that hasn't even occurred yet.
That's fair. That's
If that
fair.
makes sense.
That makes absolute sense, right? Live in the present, right? Live in the present, y'all, and utilize this. I do agree with you. I think our access to it is going to change, and the powers that be, I mean, I guess Terminator does not help, right?
Yeah.
Movies like that, this does not help, right? The military
Especially not
application,
too.
right? The military application, the military. If you think about the military as a whole, what is its mission, and them getting, in that one scenario, them getting their hands on it can be positive, right? But it also can have some unique and scary effects. But
Yeah.
that's the world of sci-fi in that space. But I appreciate you and your candor. That's real. That's real life from
Yeah.
a mom, right? A mom in the industry killing it, right? Doing big things. Powerful. I wanna pivot because you and your family are pushing back on what has been deemed, you coined this and I love it, land first, debt later, right? And so I wanted to ask the question, because this flips conventional wisdom
Mhm.
on completely on its head. What made you trust that path versus traditional methods and what was commonly known? Invest in stocks, invest in bonds, get the corporate job, work 30 years, retire, get the picket fence, the dog, and you're good. What made you push back and and put that concept first?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think, like, I'm from Philly. So Philly is a place of big dichotomy, right? Like, where you have mansions, and then you have a population where over like 30% of the population lives below the poverty level.
Mm,
And I just think that the big thing from seeing those differences is, you understand that what is like what's generally accepted or what's average doesn't necessarily play out. And then I told you, like, I got my GD at 16 and went to college, and in sociology you do something called like regression analysis, right? So you literally can run it can be a mathematical equation in
Man.
some ways to run the probability of a certain outcome happening if you have these variables. And the variables for me was first generation college student, no familial support, Black woman, you know, just all of these variables putting in there. And when I ran the regression analysis, I had less than a 2% chance of graduating from college. But I
Whoa.
graduated top 10% of my class. So I think once you can understand that there's always outliers and certain outcomes depend on everyone necessarily, thinking the same thing, it becomes a little bit easier to spot the pattern to say, well, we have billionaires. We have people who have 9-figure companies and 8 figures and 7 figures, and we know people can make 6 figures. Well, let me reverse engineer that. What did they do? Plus, what differentiator or what unique thing do I have to add to the world and to help make impact? And for me, it was like, oh, I guess this idea that of course you can be a millionaire. Like, of course you can make 6 figures in a couple of years, not 10. Of course, you can take fast action and create incredible results in your life. And that's just how that started.
You, no, I thank you for that. I took I think one class in sociology. I didn't get far, but it definitely expanded my mind as far as thinking outside the box, thinking outside of me and what my outbringing. And
I
so
often say, what box?
what box, right? What box?
What
Because you
box?
can have two people who grew up in the same environment, grew up in the Bronx, right, of New York, the streets, the hoods, gang violence, shooting, the meth pandemic, the crack cocaine pandemic, and actually walk in two different directions and grow up to be two completely different things, even though their outcome, their start was the exact same.
Because
Uh,
perception is reality. If you can change your perception on anything, your entire life changes. It's the difference between, oh, I only have this bag of chips versus thank God for this bag of chips. I have nourishment in me. I have some option. It's not starvation. Once you're able to look at what's supposedly the mundane and understand the blessing it is that you have life and that you have opportunity and that there's not bombs dropping from the sky and that you're able to feed your children and that you're able to get even on the internet or take some type of control over your life. Once you take accountability and realize that no one is coming to save you but you, I think your whole life changes. It's really up to you, at least especially for the people listening that are in America, even in current times.
it does. It does. And I had to come to that realization when the shock and awe hit when the professor brought up, well, cannibalism, right? And it's like, ooh, no, I'm not, that's weird. But think about the people who grew up in that culture. To them, that's normal. That's a perspective, and that's the difference between two individuals. Whereas the culture and the community, and just like you said, the familia I grew up in, um, can shape me. But opening my mind and but breaking out of that box, I realize that is based off of perception. And if I grew up in any other circumstance, my perception, my perception becomes my reality. Like you said, great job. And now I have now changed. And so the end goal, or where I end up, is now changed as well. It has to. There's no way I can be in a different state of mind and end up in the same place. There's no way. You're not going to. It's almost impossible. Almost
Growth
impossible.
mindset.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's literally that idea. That's why ideas are so important. That's why podcasts and just that flow of information, because once you have an idea in your head, it's really hard to extinguish it. That is why it's that idea of when an elder dies, a library burns. It's because you have to look to your past to inform your future. Sankofa, that's a West African like concept symbol, and it's so central to just even when you look at what's going on in the world now, it's not that surprising because if you've actually studied history, like I have from the first civilizations on this planet, this isn't new. Like and as Audre Lorde would say, there's no new thoughts or ideas, just different ways of expressing them. So, like, none of this is new. But that's why you have to keep taking in ideas, having a growth mindset, and knowing that, like, the learning is never done, and that's honestly, I think, what the point of life is. Like, it would be boring if you knew everything, like, that's not fun.
It'd be terrible. It'd absolutely
Yeah.
be terrible. Absolutely be way different than what it is today. How do you define wealth in a world obsessed with credit scores and consumerism? What is your definition?
Yes. I believe wealth is ownership. Ownership of resources, asset-based wealth, the house that you live in, the land that you walk on, what you're able to plant to eat, the water you're able to consume. Like, where does it come from? Can someone just shut off the pipe and now you don't have the resources you need to just exist? So, for me, it's all about asset-based wealth and, like, family. I think that
Mm.
that's, like, the clearest way, like, the people you spend time with, the time you have to spend with them. Are you able to actually be present? Do you have a calm nervous system? Like, do you feel truly safe and secure and healthy? And that's wealth for me.
So so it sounds like wealth to you is I need to own things in order to stabilize my not only my future but my future's future. Um in a world where we're obsessed with I need the perfect credit score, I need to borrow a certain amount of money, and when does generation what does generational wealth look like when it's rooted in soil instead of stocks? And I think that's what the particular door you're knocking on here.
Yeah, no, I like that. Soil and so it's just true. If you even look at the index over years, land tends to outperform or remain consistent no matter what is going on in the world because there's things that you need for fulfillment, right? Like we can go through Maslow's hierarchy of need, but the base is water and food. Like you can't do any of that other stuff unless you have the like try going at 24 hours without water never less 3 days. Like all of the other stuff is then like extra and that's great. That's why we have society and fulfillment and all those things. However, we are human beings that have actual needs to remain alive. And that's where controlling or at least having ownership in those natural resources that can keep you alive, shelter, material, water, food, because I have a homestead, I have a 10-acre homestead here. Those are pretty central, I feel like, to feeling secure, even if it's in your mind. Because if stuff really goes down, like there's a lot that can go down. However, I'm not necessarily worried if the supermarket just shuts down tomorrow. Like I've given myself a somewhat of a buffer.
I love that. You have chickens?
We did. They got eaten. They got torn by
Oh
predators.
my god.
We're gonna do a chicken run next season because at least it's getting warm. We were sad. Apparently, we had a fox den. I have 10 acres, but like 7 of them are wooded. So, and then there's like 100 acres across the street from me. That's like wooded. So it's just,
So
yeah,
it's yeah,
those chickens didn't stand a chance.
that's a lot to fence off. That's a lot to patrol and yeah, that's
Well, so that's why we'll do a chicken run. So it's kind of like an area that's just for the chickens that like bigger predators can't get into. Fascinating stuff when you have a homestead,
so
especially
what
being a city girl. And now I'm like, a chicken run. Yeah.
so you just had free reigning chicken. They were just loose
Oh,
wherever.
they were free range. And especially like, so I'm vegan, but my husband like eats eggs and my daughter loves to be a proud carnivore, as she tells us. So, but we weren't going to eat the chicken. It was just for the eggs. So it was sad because it was like those chickens could have turned 100 here. Like it would have been fine.
Is a haven. See, the chickens had paradise, but not not us. But
No,
in
there's possums in the chicken coop. There'd been, it's apparently humans aren't the only people who think chickens are tasty.
what about what else do you have in a homestead? What are the benefits? Because you said the whole supermarket, you and your family would not be panic. I've explored the concept of bees. I thought they were easy to take care of. There's a whole world to take care of bees, but I'm still fascinated by bees, and I think that's unlike a dog, right? That dog is never going to go off to college. That dog is not going to come home with a GED one day, right? But bees actually give back. They help the environment. They help the landscape, right? Because they pollinate and they help the landscape out, and they give you honey, right? Natural homegrown honey. What benefits have homesteading produced for you and your family?
Yeah, I will say that I think that because you like compared it to a dog, and I'm like, for some people, a lot of people, their dog provides companionship, they provide like acceptance, they give them something. And I get what you're coming from a productivity standpoint, but I think that's already how we look at the world wrong. Like, just existing is enough. Like, you do not need to earn your right to live.
That's
I
fair.
think that having like even just coming from that, everything else that you do then is a blessing. I do think you should contribute if you're able, but I think that a lot of times that's why we get into workaholic culture and people just never like take joy. And I think the point of life is to find joy even when everything is not going exactly how you wanted to. I think joy is resistance, like, because that breeds hope and that breeds the ability to try and build a better world or do something better. So
That's
I'll
fair.
start there. And that's goes right into why we have a homestead. So I moved to homeschooling this year. We do online homeschool. It's called the Bina School. It's amazing, right? Like my daughter was going to go into kindergarten, but she does that. And during her like lunch break, we'll go out to the garden and we'll pick peas, or she'll look at how the peppers are doing, or we just like got a whole harvest of okra. And this is my first time planting anything from seed in July. And it's like we have squash and just like all these things. We had cucumbers. And even my 2-year-old will look out his window and he'll just go, garden. And it's like, you know where food comes from. We do foraging. We look at some of the different leaves. Like you can identify what a birch tree looks like, a chestnut tree. Like we're going to explore what to do with like acorns and getting the tannins out. Like it's a different side of life. And I think it helps you to slow down. And it actually makes me more productive in tech and in my entrepreneurship and in just like the internet world, because you get that
That come
connection.
the combination. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I love the connection because it's it homeschooling presents a unique aspect, right? If I can do world history, or let's just say US history, if I can teach US history at homeschool, and then we can actually go to the Great Lakes, we can go see uh, uh, what's in Las Vegas, the Grand Canyon, right? That creates a whole new paradigm, and I think it better ingrains the studies and the thoughts because not only are kids reading about it, but they're actually touching it and smelling it and say, I went there. I saw the Grand Canyon. I flew a helicopter over there. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole new avenue and in I think enhancement to the benefits of homeschooling. The other thing I learned, and I think it was a huge scare for a lot of families who especially during COVID, who may have been forced to homeschool or were considering homeschooling, is I think a lot of parents fear that they have to do it all themselves. I have to be the expert. I have to do math. I have to do um and another professional like yourself, she came on and she said, "No. No, you can outsource those parts. You can outsource those areas." And so that is I love the fact that you're homeschooling. And you said did you mention the curriculum that you're using?
Yeah, so we do like online international school. It's called the Bina School.
Okay.
And it is super amazing because there's like maximum like 8 kids in the class. There's 2 teachers. She has students who are like in Canada, students who are can be in South America. Like it's just honestly, and a lot of the students there travel. But for us, the big thing was making sure that we had secure attachment and connection. Like a 5-year-old, she's about to be 6, this is like some of their most impressionable years. And going into a school, and I used to be a teacher, you understand you have 30 kids, 40 kids, like you have to teach for the middle. It it's like it just doesn't give all of the attention that I know my daughter could benefit from, and making sure that she is learning about life from us. And like I'm in a town with no stoplights. It is a very tiny Tennessee town. So, and you know, she's been to over 10 states already, multiple countries. Like it's just making sure that you're expanding her worldview, and that no one is unintentionally shrinking it because I'm not there to understand like what someone is telling my child, which essentially is what happens in a lot of public school. And it's an infrastructure issue. Like I know I'm super privileged to be able to afford this option, but that's why I'm also passionate about teaching ambitious mothers that there's a way, and that they can also have that option.
Absolutely. How do you talk or bring up finances to the kids? How do you force? I heard someone say I think we make a huge mistake when we parents have mothers have avoided. I have found in dating, I can't speak to the world, but I have found when dating that oftentimes, even in my household, even in my upbringing, we avoid the conversation around money. We've avoided. Don't let a child stay in a child's place. Don't worry about it. Go outside and play. What's this, mommy? This a bill? Don't worry about it. Never mind. We don't engage our kids into finances. Oh, any money you make, just put it in your savings account, stash it away. Anything you need, ask me. How do you and your family talk about finances?
Yeah, I mean that was not my reality.
I'm alone in this,
I
y'all. I'm alone in this.
Yeah, no, and I've heard of it, right? Like everyone's experience is different, and that's why I think it is so important to have these talks with your children from young. I think that a lot of times what happens is that we have these money mindsets or these preconceived notions that we've built in our head. You'll hear things like, "Oh, money is the root of all evil," or "It doesn't matter," and all these things. I think once you understand that money is a tool, it is a passageway to whatever it is you're actually trying to achieve, which can be resources, which can be time freedom, which can be the ability to do XYZ, that it switches and you understand that you can make money, you can get money, and that it's going to take probably the same amount of effort you're putting in for whatever it is that you're doing now. It's just about having the mindset and the work ethic in a lot of ways to want to see it happen. And I think that a lot of people are hard workers. I think they do very hard work in multiple service based industries. I was a supervisor at Kroger. I lasted 7 weeks, and it
Oh
was
my
one of
gosh.
the hardest things I'd ever done. So I absolutely think a lot of people are hard workers. It's just about what are you working for. And I think once you get really clear on your what you're doing it for, then the avenues start to become clearer. Like, is this going to get me there sooner, or do I need to pivot?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um I gotta ask.
Okay.
What in the world happened at Kroger?
Oh my gosh. So this is a funny story just because I had moved. So I've lived in like 15 states. I've gone to 22 schools. I've moved a lot. I've traveled a lot. I've been to over a dozen countries. So I decided I was going to move to Denver without ever visiting there. And um, I probably was like, it was my early 20s. Like I just graduated college around that time. So I went to a job fair, but I'd been a teacher. No, so it was like a couple years after because I'd been a teacher. And I went to a job fair and I was like, what's Kroger? And well, I think it was called, no, it's called King Supers um in Colorado. And I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "One of the largest supermarket chains like Kroger." And I was like, "Oh." And then he saw my resume, saw that I'd been a teacher, and he was like the district manager over like all of the Krogers in that area. So they like waived this special condition where normally in order to be a supervisor, you had to have worked there for like 4 or 5 years. And I understand absolutely why it's a requirement
Oh
now
man.
because yeah, it just well, also the location I was at was just it was different from the training versus what the practices were. I'd never worked like at a register. It was a store that did like $1 million a week. It was a very like busy location and it just was a learning experience. But yeah, I talk about this in the connector method because I took the fast action. I did it. That gave me evidence that I did not like it. So I took the fast action to pivot again and do something else, which, for me, it's worked out really well. I like love my career and where I'm at in my life now. And that probably wouldn't have occurred if I would have stayed in that role on that particular trajectory. But yeah, it was a learning experience. So I'll
for
always take it.
For sure. I had a similar experience with working for Amazon and the US Postal Service. Where I both jobs I quit day one. Just walked out. Just I'm not coming back. This
I
is
I can understand.
this is not my best self. I'm not my best self here. But I'm glad
But
we
I commend you for that because a lot of times people realize that. They know that they're doing something day in and day out that doesn't align with the vision that they truly have for their lives, and it's easier to play scared than sit there and be like, "Hey, I can do this crazy thing." I don't care if it's what do the young kids say now, cringe? Apparently, I'm an old lady as
yeah.
a millennial, but like who care like it's one of those who cares, like who is paying your bills, what is actually getting you to Cabo or on that trip or owning your home or owning, the vehicle you want or going to take care of your children once you're older and you want to leave them something. Like if you start to think from that mindset, then it's like yeah, I'm gonna leave in a day because it's not serving my highest self.
So I've heard from other leaders, professionals like yourself, a contradiction. Um
Mhm.
to that concept. Whereas, listen, your first job, you're gonna hate it, but sometimes you need to learn grit, you need to learn resilience, and you need to do the hard thing, even though you may not like it. I think I see the other side of the coin. I know you have too, as well as a leader yourself, where there are too many young professionals coming up and they try a thing and they don't like it and they leave. They do what I did. Now I've been working. Now again, Miss Boehm have been working for a long time. I've been working since the age of 10. So when it came to figuring out what I'm good at, I had a bigger, longer runway to figure out where I naturally thrive at. But the individual, I do think it's the wrong thing to do for a young man or a young woman to sit there and their first job and they walk off the plant or they walk off. I think you need to learn a little bit more of resilience because in life, not everything we do, I think you can build up. I think you can, some things you're going to have to build up and lay the seed and lay the foundation to. You see that land joke right there? You're going to lay the foundation to so that you can leave that job. And some things you may have to bear it until you can leave. I don't think it's a good mindset for someone starting off to say, oh, this isn't serving me, let me leave, let me quit. Too many young men are in their mom's basement playing video games, and because they don't like that job, or they don't like their boss, or they don't like a particular coworker. Okay, son, I need you to suck it up for a minute. This is your first job. You need to get some time under your belt, a little bit. Um, but you also need to learn a little bit of resilience, and you also need to spread it out. I think one of the most powerful things a parent can do is expose their children to a plethora, right? So, hey, let's try swimming, let's try soccer, let's try basketball, and not force your kids and say, I'm an alpha male. Your dad was a ball player. Mom was a ball player. You need to play ball. No, I think you're doing a lot more harm when you're doing that. I think we need to expose them to diversity, and let them find themselves in that diversity, but also instill in them some grit and resiliency. So I want to share that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really great point. I will have a hot take here. So I agree with you. My daughter's in gymnastics. She's done swim. She's in ballet. She does drama club, anything. But we also are really big with like, do you feel comfortable there? Do you feel affirmed? Is this a safe place? And I think that there is so many toxic places to work, just like there's great places that your nervous system can tell you pretty quickly. I do think a day is a little extreme. You can give it a little bit of time unless there's just something completely egregious. However, I will also argue that your child's first job should be from you. Literally
Ooh,
the things that you do in the
point.
home, teaching them about business, like you should have a lemonade stand or now a digital sticker store. My daughter tells me about the businesses she wants to build all the time because my husband has owned a recording studio for over 15 years. He has a record label, like he does all of that. I'm in my entrepreneurial life, and even as a corporate worker, I'm in charge of my territory. I'm able to have a lot more autonomy. I work from home, so she sees it firsthand. And I think that that's the exposure you need to give to your children, because while I do believe in employment, in jobs, and that works for so many people, I also believe that in order to have an employee, they have to work enough to pay themselves and the company. So you can also instill some of that ownership, which even is a managerial mindset, a leadership mindset to run. Because a lot of companies too are, the vision is bigger than themselves. Like I work for companies that have valuations in the hundreds of billions. So it's like it's a big oiled machine. However, what is this doing for you, your self worth, your personal development, where you want to go in life? Are you learning skills from this that will help you in whatever you want to achieve? Does your job make you feel like you're making an impact? Do you wake up happy to know that you're having a better effect on the world? And if it's not doing that, then it's okay to bounce. I think.
Okay. Absolutely, absolutely. Well said. I agree in the several points that you made here. I truly feel that. Yes, if we can empower our kids, i- if we can empower our kids and make the first employer, make those first experiences a controlled, little bit of a controlled setting. Like one aspect I heard was a gentleman shared that, you know, he owns rental property, and he leaves a unit available for his kids, and then when the kids become of age, to help them learn good money habits, and and along the way now utilize the skills that mom and dad have been influencing those kids along the way. Here's a place you can stay. Mom and dad own the building, but it's still safe. It's our building. We own the building, we own the lights, we own the water, we own the gas. And so I can expose you to real life scenarios in a controlled environment. The
I
other,
mean,
huh?
we're doing tiny homes here. It's like already we drop some, and it's so that our children have home ownership from a young age within the realm, but we also have a trust. So it's like I don't necessarily need a situation where I'm like controlling what you're able to do, but I think it's easy to say that now when I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So the best parents are always the ones who don't have children. So I haven't been in that situation yet. So I don't know what I'd do, but what I'd imagine now is I would absolutely encourage my children to go into everything with an owner mindset, to know that if that they can be the ones who controls the situation and how it makes them feel. But I also believe in education and learning from other people and, taking a job if it's your dream job, but also to know boundaries. Like, even now, it's like if my daughter doesn't want to hug you, pop, or anybody, it's no, my body, my choice. Like, hey, you hurt my feelings. You cut me off. Like, even when you want to be like, because I said so, I'll never say that. You can always ask why. Because if I'm trying to raise agents of change and children who are able to actually be leaders, then I can't start at home with already making you listen to me just because I'm the grown up. That that's an oxymoron. And so it bleeds through with what your entire trajectory is later. So to answer your
Absolutely.
question, it starts with the parent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. Love it. Love it. I, my this is incredible. You made $1 million in sales. To most people,
Yeah.
I see the young man, I see the young woman screaming at the rooftops. Why? What in the world? I would be so much better off if I had $1 million, if I had made $1 million today, last week, last year, during the pandemic. I need some perspective. I haven't achieved that yet, but one day I will. What did that teach you about money, influence, power, purpose? Because I make a post on my Facebook page, and I kind of do it annually,
Mhm.
where what would you do if you had $1 million? And everybody says, "Oh, I would invest it. I would invest it. That would change my life. I would save some. I would invest it. I would try." And I always retort under in the comments. 'Cause I mess with people. I'm toxic that way. I I retort people and I say, "Are you doing those things now? And if you're not doing those things now, why not?" And as well, I don't have enough money. Yeah, but you have income. If you're not saving, if you're not investing with the little, why would you think you would do that when you have a million? And so I need your perspective because you've done it. Can you give some perspective to the young girl who's watching you? How has that influenced you, and what lessons have you learned from that?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll say is taxes. So,
To stay legal.
I'll just be very real. There's a lot of taxes in there, especially from a W-2 capacity, right? Like earned a lot of my money in commissions. So when you're in tech sales, or I guess any sales role, you have a base salary, and then you have, or you should have a base salary, and then you have commissions, and what you make on top of that based on the sales that you've made. But to your point, Marcus, I absolutely actually had someone on my podcast who talked about this, that money is an amplifier. Like, all it does is amplify whatever you have going on. So I definitely think that for me, my motivation was my children, and also having debt, and having these goals that I wanted to achieve. And I'm a fast action person. I'm actually called the chief action officer. I'm a person who does not like to wait to have to achieve something, because what I've learned is that when you don't take fast action on that idea, you either never do it, you sit in procrastination, or you build it up to be this like huge thing in your mind, and then when you actually go do it, you don't allow yourself to be honest of, is this even what I actually want? Does it make me feel good? And then you double down on it, which I talk about often in my like in different channels, which is sunk cost fallacy. Because I spent this money, or because I spent this time in this relationship, in this like situation on this building that is now has a foundation that will cost me double the amount that I've already spent in it, and I still don't know if it'll recoup my investment. Instead of walking away, you double down, and that's where I think a lot of people suffer from just not taking action on that thought when they had it and being okay with changing their mind. Like, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to say, this doesn't make me feel good. The like this thing that I wanted so bad and now I got, um, it it's okay. Like, that's the point of doing it.
Absolutely. That's a mic drop moment. That's a mic drop. Not this mic. We need that mic. But if I had another mic to give her, she could drop that one. Oh my gosh. This is huge. What's the most controversial business decision you had to make on your way to seven figures?
Well, I actually talk about this because again, it's like it's a job, like finding a position. So the interesting thing about me getting into tech sales is that I did not know what SaaS meant and I didn't know what an account executive was when I applied for the position. And I applied for almost, I want to say it was 1,000 jobs, close to 1,000. It was 2022. So previously to that, I worked in scientific sales, so I actually was working from home when the shutdown happened. I'd
Thank goodness.
already had a remote job. Yes, because I was about to give birth and I wanted to be able to nurse and I knew I wanted to be closer to my child. However, it was a different world, right? Like that job after commission, I probably made like 50,000 in a year, which it wasn't awful. Like, I was extremely grateful for it. I think that's the perspective too. Like, when you're grateful for this, like, I knew what it was to budget $1,000 a month in college versus, you know, 2,500 or 4,000 or something a month. I think that it like that gratitude grows with you.
Absolutely.
But, um, yeah, I think the big thing was not telling myself no. Like, I could have been like, "I don't know what an account executive is or these terms," but I did read the job description and it's like, "Okay, I know how to talk to people. I know how to give a presentation. I know some of these concepts." And if you allow yourself to go into it with like, "Hey, I know 60% of this, the rest I'll learn through training and through action, through doing it day in and day out." 5 months later, I exceeded my quota, and then last year, I made close to like half a million dollars, hit 207% quota, and was able to do all of that. And I think that's the benefit again of fast action. It accelerates results. You're iterating on it, you're seeing what works, what doesn't work, and moving on while people are out there still filing patents for something that you don't even know if people want to buy.
That's true. That's so true.
Yeah.
What's your secret? What's the secret sauce? Is it when you say fast action, is it me picking up the phone like in the movie Pursuit of Happiness where he's like, if I cold call so many people, statistically and data wise, I should get these many sales. Can you expound a little bit more?
Yes, I mean, I have done my fair share of cold calls. I am in sales and I'm in enterprise sales. So you definitely have to do outreach. However, again, I'll come back to AI. We are in
Okay.
again a very unprecedented time where you're able to get access to so much information and so much just like knowledge and wisdom around how other people are doing it. People are giving you this information away for free on YouTube, in these podcasts, like everyone on your LinkedIn feed. Like, people are out here, like, here, I'm creating content. So I'm telling you what I've learned through life. And I think because there is so much information that it can be seen as noise and people don't actually apply it. But nowadays, it's like, even you don't even need to necessarily cold call all that much. Or if you do, you have this wonderful tool of artificial intelligence that can help you know what to say, can help you objection handle, it can help you streamline what the conversation or what your outreach plan should be. It can help you do the math and all of the stuff about your numbers and what you need to make and what launches. Or even more importantly, you can then connect to people who can connect you to other people who can help you achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. But I promise you the information you want is out there if you're willing to look for it and listen to it. And most importantly, take action on it. Because the difference between hoping and having is action.
Agreed. Agreed. Absolutely agree. 1000% agree. What's your response to the naysayers who say that everyone is not meant to be an entrepreneur or everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur? Where do you stand? In the middle, neutral, on one side, on the left or the right?
I feel like a lot of people are entrepreneurs. Like for me, an entrepreneur is a person who finds a way, whether you're the entrepreneur of your career and you're sitting there and figuring out how to market yourself in these interviews, how to land that job. And I also am a big believer in everyone should have multiple streams of revenue, whether that is some type of ebook that's sitting there. Like you should have a form of revenue that's paying you while you're sleeping, while you're not there, while that can hold you up if this one source of income stops for whatever reason. And I think after COVID especially, people should realize that anything can happen even if it's unprecedented. So making sure that you create a true foundation for yourself is I think like one of the best buffers. Like I talk about it often cuz I'm mortgage free, and it was a very conscious decision to do that. And I think you talked about that earlier, like why did I pay off my house first before paying off my student loans? And it's because like it gave us leverage. It's something, it's an asset that can increase in value and can be, something that we have no matter what else is going on, versus if we would have just paid off our student loans, it would have been like, okay, that's great. Didn't move my credit score that's in the high 700s that much. So like I can pay this off over time, but have this asset that I can leverage in other ways that can then give me more cash flow and more income.
Do you feel you would have not ended up where you are today had you paid down your student loans first or your debt first and not paid the mortgage? Do you think that accelerated where you are today by paying your mortgage off first?
Well, so we didn't even get a mortgage. We did a whole bunch of sweat equity. I do think that we were super fortunate in the timing that we purchased the house. Like now it has like quadrupled in value in the span of like 5 years because, things were really low. Like at the beginning of COVID, people are selling off. We're in a really rural area. So it's like, oh, no one wants to be there. That's exactly where we wanted to be because we wanted to properly socially distance. And we were crazy for years because we lived in Houston prior to that. But
Goodness.
I think that a lot of things are always conjecture. Like you like for me, I wouldn't change my decision if that's what you're asking. I think again, my house gives me leverage in other ways, and it's able to be a home base, and knowing that, it's not tied to a bank is helpful. I think that it gives you a different level of peace of mind and the kind of the foundation and another way to go out and continue to make things happen and try different things. And it's unrestricted land out here. So we are going to do Airbnbs and micro apartments, and we can do hip camps, and we're next to waterfalls. And it's just like, it's a really great property, and I'm just a big believer in, like, land. I'd go buy raw land before I'd go buy a condo any day of the week. Like, anything with an HOA, like, no thank you. I will go buy a nice acre with no septic system first
And build on that and leverage
and
that and
build.
develop that. Uh,
Especially if you're willing to put in sweat equity. Like, my father-in-law and husband basically built everything. This loft I'm sitting in now is over my living room, which used to be my porch. So, I think the thing with building as well is that you can see what the resource of money and time and energy can like create. Like you literally see what you manifested and you're sitting in it. I think it just becomes that same unlock where it's like, well, of course I can make this amount of money and I can like do that
That's
because other people are doing it. It's not, I'm not making it up.
it's reality. It is possible. It is doable. It's just change your mind. Incredible.
Exactly.
I oh man, this is so good. This is it's so good. It's so juicy, right? Is oh my gosh. You've shared nuggets on your perspective on sociology, artificial intelligence, changing your mind, changing your belief systems, and taking quick action, taking action and taking quick action. Um, you've shared so many nuggets. What's on one more belief about money that you had to unlearn in order to grow into the person you are today, grow your business, grow you're a founder, you have employees, you have staff, and you have you're a family one. What's one more money habit that you had to get rid of completely in order to shift?
Well, so first, I'm a solopreneur, and
So
it's very intentional. I will absolutely work with contractors. I think that you should leverage that, but I also believe in helping other people run their businesses. So that's
sure,
where that comes in, where it's like I trust you to do good work, but you can also work for other people and expand what your income could be versus just needing to be focused on what I'm doing here just for what my platform does, right? Like that doesn't work for every company.
that's fair.
But a big thing that I think I needed to unlearn, especially just like with my upbringing, was that you need to be responsible for everyone else. And that when you have money, you need to like give it away. Like you cannot save anyone else from drowning if you're drowning too. And
Ooh,
a big thing and this is why I work a lot of times with women who already make six figures is a lot of times in our society we say if it was six figures like this would be enough, and this would change everything and this would fix everything. And I will not minimize how fortunate I am to be able to go to the store and buy groceries and know I can get organic groceries or whatever, even though I wince every time I see the receipt. It's just it's crazy, right? Because 'Cause I'm a person who makes multiple six figures each year, and I'm saying, "Hey, this hurts." And for people who are making way less, which I am intimately aware of as well, like, I have been homeless, I've faced housing insecurity, in my younger years, you can't always, like, understand that hey, this isn't going to be the magic bullet you think it will be. Like this isn't going to solve all of your problems, especially all of your money problems, to live just like a basic standard of life. And I think that once you understand that seven figures is it's not that different from six figures. Like if you're working for that, like you can work for seven figures too. Like you can think about making $100,000, $200,000 a month, just like you try to think about doing it for a year. If you're going to spend your time thinking about the future that you want, then think about the future that you want. And I'm not saying it has to happen tomorrow. I think corporate jobs are a really great way to understand like business and the world and how to work with people and all those things. But it's okay to want more and to work towards that. And I think that mindset was huge, especially when you hear stuff like, oh, people with a lot of money are bad people or they're evil or whatever. And it's like, there's always going to be duality. Don't you want to be a good person with money? Like, like
exactly.
it's that's not going to change you. It's going to amplify whatever it is you already do. And if you believe in impact and you believe in giving back and you believe in all of these other things, then when you have that money, then you're able to share and bring people up. And that's even evident in just like this podcast or my podcast. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that if I needed to be on shift all the time. And then I can't help people be like, well, this is how I became mortgage free. Or did you know an account executive can make you just as much as a doctor? Like, I wouldn't have time to even tell you that.
So I want to make sure I get this clearly out. So you don't believe in giving your wealth away while you're still building or while you're still trying to achieve the thing? What are your thoughts on philanthropy? Right? Is there
Yeah.
a point? Because I, you said, okay, if I reach this, if I attain this amount of wealth, I'm good. I hear that as, okay, I'm good enough to now I can now give back. But you're saying
Yeah.
that's not the case. You
Well,
should.
no, let me be very clear. When I'm
Okay.
saying that, it was in reference to my family. Like this
Okay.
kind of thing where you make this, then it's like, I have this bill, my car did this, like, and it's like, well, if that happens to me, who's going to help me out too, right? It's this idea that you cannot build the plane analogy. I'm sure everyone's heard it. Put your mask on first before putting on anyone else's mask. And what I say with that is that a couple hundred thousand, a few $100,000 is not enough to call it a day, quit your job, and go off into the sunset. Like, and until you can have what some people like to call, FU money or whatever, where you can, then you need to continue to work towards what it is you're trying to achieve in life. And my other thing with that, with philanthropy, is like, I did a board leadership program. I'm in consultation with a couple of nonprofits now to sit on the advisory board. I'm a person who genuinely feels like my time is worth a lot. Like to have this like interaction, or for me to help sit on your advisory board or whatever, I can bring a lot of value to help this mission flourish beyond just writing a check. However, I also plan on being a funder, being a person who can write big checks and starting foundations and really helping the causes that I care about. And burnout and brokenness does not help you to do that. So again, what's a belief about money I had to unlearn? That I need to struggle too in order to have solidarity with people who are struggling. Like, solidarity is great, but help is better. And it's that idea of, I can understand what you're going through, and I can also take the mindsets to get me out of that stage so that I can pull someone else out, or give them the mindset, so even better, they can pull themselves out. And that's what I meant by it.
That's fair. That's fair. Thank you. Thank you for expounding on that. Thank you for helping me um and walking me through that, because that's necessary and I needed to hear that. Um what's your take on the soft life movement? Does it align with your values?
Yeah, I actually know this one. I'm not like a movement person. I'm like, I thought I didn't like know much. I love it. I love this idea, especially within the context of mothers, especially within the context of Black women. I think that it is this reclamation that it is okay to be okay, to not run around like, hey, everything's a dumpster fire, even if it is. But what is it like? How is that helping the situation? And that's my understanding of the soft life movement. Maybe my better question should have been like, what is it? Because I'm not like super well versed in it beyond like, hey, take your rest, sis. Like, sit down and chill. Like, it's okay not to be a workaholic and hustle all day and all night. That's my take on it, but I do think it's important to ask for clarification.
That's fair. That's fair. So the soft life movement, in my interpretation of soft life movement, is, and I don't agree with certain aspects of it. I don't agree with the aspects from what I've seen the term used and coined for. and I think we're similar in age. But when I see it, it's in terms of, oh, I don't want to work too hard. I don't, and back in context where I said, for someone brand new, I want to live a soft life. I don't want to work hard, and they quit their first job. They do what I did, right? They walk out on a job because it doesn't fit the criteria. It's not enough money, or I think I deserve this, but I haven't earned anything to get there. How many times has someone filled out a job application and the job application says, will you work weekends? Will you work holidays? And what do we all do? We say yes, yes, yes. And as soon as that job starts, they they they're asking for more PTO. They're asking for a pay increase. They're asking for a raise. Soft life, to a degree, and in the context that I've seen it use, removes what I mentioned earlier. It removes the grit. I think you do need to build. I think you need to build a foundation. And there's too many people wanting to walk into easy street. What broke my heart, I was sitting at a restaurant and there's these college students sitting next to me. I'm eating sushi. I love sushi. And they're sitting next to me, and the girl, I didn't mean to do this. It just happened because they're loud and they're boasters and they're hyped up on coffee. So the young girl is saying to her friend, "Man, I can't wait for my parents to die so I can just take over the house." Right? That is what I typically have been seeing when people use the phrase soft life. Is they what did your parents have to do to build a house that you now want and enjoyed those freedoms? We talked about freedom earlier. When I see the term soft life and I see it used in the context of, I think I deserve this because my mom and dad, that would break my heart. To work is, I think it would to some degree break you and your husband, your family's heart. If everything you and your husband worked to, and then your kids said, well, my parents built this soft life for me, this cushy life, and I don't have to work for nothing. I don't have to work on someone's field. I just want to just I'll pay someone to take care of the farm, to take care of the chickens, and I'll just live my soft life era. That's the context that I have been witnessing, and I don't agree. I think you need to put in some time.
So I think what you're describing, so just to be very clear, from my perspective of soft life, and it's how I've seen it, and it's how I think it's at least implied from what my algorithm shows me from what it means,
Yes.
is that it's a life of like well-being, rest, and intentional living, right? Like over just like the relentless hustle, burnout, that constant striving. And I'll point it out as well that like my main social media channel is LinkedIn. So it's
Okay.
definitely
Yep.
within that context of, hey, it is okay not to burn yourself out when you've been doing this for years. um, I think it's also important to teach our children that. I think it's important to teach resilience and grit. And to your point, when you have to take care of chickens and you have to go into the garden and you have to harvest and you have to plant and you have to build the fence and do the things, it's almost that like it's kind of built into the lifestyle. It's not, hey, I grew up in the city, let me call DoorDash, let me call Uber Eats,
But
like that.
you
Yeah,
also hire contractors, and they can your kids can see that and say, well, I don't need to build a fence. I can just hire contractors. Why am
except
I
it's
building the
not.
fence?
It's my husband building it in Pop Pop. My husband and his father built this whole house essentially by hand. In this room, we did hire contractors to do like the mudding after they put up the framing, laid down the flooring, made it into an actual room from a porch. So I think that idea of like doing things with your hands and also like understanding that nothing comes just like that. Like we even have conversations here where they're like, I don't want to eat that. And it's like, do you know that there's children who die of starvation daily? Like we have this perspective. They've been to other countries. I plan on doing a lot of volunteering. It's like what I did a lot of. It's just I think, again, it comes down to perception and awareness. Like me going to middle school in Ghana in 6th grade and seeing little girls selling water to pay for their school fees that they still had to walk to. Like those are the experiences that sit with you forever so that you can have some perspective. Like, hey,
They
it's
really do that?
great. Yeah.
Oh my, I had
Or
no idea.
pencils at the stoplight. Like it's there's a whole world out there that it's not a Walmart, right? So I think just like again having that perspective, but it's also okay not to burn out. Like it's
Absolutely.
okay to sit down and not have to feel like your worth is tied to your work and your productivity and your output because that's also problematic.
Absolutely. Agreed. 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 This has been a fantastic conversation, an incredible conversation given to us, spoken word, all the tingles, man. Miss Boehm, you've dropped so many nuggets, so much insight, so much wisdom today. How can people connect with you? How can people learn more? The train has left the station, but it's not too late for others to connect to the movement that your family is building. How can people find you?
Absolutely. So it's easy. It's seedandsociety.com. You can go there and check it out. You can find me at Seed and Society on Instagram. If you want to just know more about like what I'm doing, there's also makedabohm.com. So pretty, pretty straightforward there.
Check her out.
And you
Absolutely.
can, and a thing I guess I should mention, of course, is you can get a free guide. Join into my list, and you can get weekly updates and insights about building sovereignty, building capacity, wealth, and cash flow. I also have the Seed in Society podcast. So, yeah, seedinsociety.com will take you to all of that.
And books. You're an author. How can people grab a hold of, get a copy?
Yeah, so the book is coming out. It's The Connector Method, creating confidence, clarity, and results through fast action. So that'll be coming in 2026. So again, sign up for that list and you'll be one of the first people to know, as well as getting some of the tips and maybe even shaping the book throughout the process.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, y'all. We unfortunately are out of time. We have ran out of time. We got to let this incredible woman go. She has a family to raise. She has some chickens to catch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But you are phenomenal. I want to say this to you publicly. You are phenomenal. You and your family are the T. And I want to say this to you publicly. Don't give up. Don't ever stop. We need you. We need you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. Like we end every show, take care of your friends. I hope this message was inspirational, inspiring, encouraging that it's not too late. There's hope. You can do it. You can be the change. Just take action today. Like we end every show, take care of your families, take care of your friends, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and the super fragilist Espialdocious, Miss Boehm. Signing off. Love you guys. Bye.